You're listening to the Food and Fitness Podcast, where we talk all things food and fitness. You can follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at food.fitnesspodcast. We're your hosts today,
Jackie Vandertoon,
Jessica White,
and Dave Marshall. On today's episode, we're going to talk with Roni Travis. She's a personal trainer and a health and fitness diploma. She has Precision Nutrition Level 1, DARBY Training Level 1, and a certified personal trainer with the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology. I think I got that right. That's great. All right. So she seems to have a different view on fitness when she's also working with her clients. The confidence comes first and the results are very close second. So there's a change that's happening in body positivity fitness, and Roni wants you to care about your body as much as you care about your health. So Roni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
It'll be our pleasure. So let's go right away. Why do you take a different approach when you are working with your clients? Do you find the view of loving yourself brings better results?
100% I do. And I mean, as with most things in life, my approach comes from my personal experience. I followed all the rules. I did all the things. I reached my goal weight, but I still wasn't happy with myself. It didn't magically transform my life like I thought I did. I wasn't confident. My world didn't change just because I reached a certain weight. And honestly, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I realized that just losing the weight wasn't enough. And that was when I really started focusing on combining the mindset and self-love with fitness. And what I noticed when I did that was my clients' results started skyrocketing. They got results faster. They got better results, because I would have clients who would lose all of this weight, but we didn't talk about mindset or fitness or self-love, and they didn't see it. Like, people would lose 30, 40 pounds and still not feel good about themselves. And at first I was like, what am I doing wrong? But it was just because I was so focused on just the fitness and the nutrition aspect of it. So by including, working on loving yourself as you change, you get faster results because you're looking for results.
I can't tell you how much I love that, because we've mentioned on this podcast, and certainly one of the struggles that I have are numbers. And I love the fact that you're kind of throwing the metrics out a little bit, because we all have this kind of goal number. What's your ideal weight? 120 pounds. I don't even remember being 120 pounds. I don't even know what that looks like, but that's a number. Anyways, it's obvious that you have a really different perspective on what constitutes health and fitness. From your side of the fitness field, what impact do you wish to make to the industry and for individual people?
So my goal is to change the way people view fitness, nutrition, and their body. I want to take away the negative and toxic associations with, one, people like not wanting to exercise and eat healthy because it comes with all of those negative associations. But mainly, I want people to know that it can be simple and it can be easy, and that there's so many more reasons to take care of your body than just to lose weight, because just losing weight isn't enough to keep you doing it. And as somebody who totally understands what it's like to be stuck in that wanting to be that goal weight, like that did nothing for me. And the biggest thing that I want to impact the industry with is to, like I said, just change the way people see it. My main goal is to help people change the way they view exercise. So instead of punishment, it's a way to take care of your body, right? You're moving your body because you love your body. And same with eating, right? Instead of eating to punish or starve yourself because you overate on the weekend, you're eating to nourish your body. And the more we look at food and nutrition as things we get to do for ourselves, the less negative and toxic it becomes, which, in the end makes it easier to maintain.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
I like how when you were talking, you were talking kind of about the honesty, right? And the reflection. And I had a look at your Instagram. So Roni_Travis is your Instagram handle. It's just so full of life. And I like how you bring in some of the reality factor, some of the honesty that you bring in on your Instagram. And you talk about your past fitness journey, like flashback photos, talking about size versus confidence, fitness modeling. But what have you learned from your own journey that allows you to become a better trainer?
So I've kind of done it all, right? I've lost weight, got way too skinny. I gained weight and had to like redo that whole thing. And I went from trying to be really skinny, and because that's what I thought I needed to be, to wanting to become stronger and healthier and happier. And the main thing I've learned from that, and which helps me with my clients, is that I can empathize, right? I know what it's like to like look in the mirror and not like what you see, and to feel like nothing is working, and to feel hopeless, and to just want to, take the scissors and cut it off because it just wasn't working. I know what that feels like, right? So I know what people are going through, and I can help them walk through that. But, I've also done, like you said, the fitness modeling thing, and that was a really great experience for me. But, another thing that I learned was that if you don't love your body before you go into a competition, you're not going to love it when you compete. Because if you're so used to criticizing yourself, that's all you're ever going to do. So the biggest thing for me was from, again, losing 40, 50 pounds, gaining 30, 40 pounds, losing weight again, was just learning to love myself the way that I am. And that is, I think, what helps me be able to relate with my clients, but also help them get lasting results, because I know what it takes to maintain and keep that motivation. Like I realized the other day, I've been exercising consistently pretty much for about 8 years. So, that's a long time to stick with something. And I think the fact that I've done the extremes, it really helps me kind of put into perspective to people, be like, no, you don't have to do that. And I just, being able to empathize is huge, because personal training and like the way you feel in your body is extremely personal, and people need to feel comfortable with me. So I find when I share when I was 105 pounds at, 5'7", and I did not look healthy, that I don't feel good sharing that, but I know sharing it helps. And the more open and honest I am, the more comfortable people feel with me. And for me, it's what I do for a living, but I create these amazing connections with my clients. And I think that's what really helps them get such amazing results, is that I genuinely care, and they trust me because they know that I've been there. And I think just making it less of a formal interaction and more of a connection helps people stick with it a little bit better and just get better results.
I feel like you do a therapy session and a fitness session at the same time.
100%. Yeah.
That's great. So we talked about social media and your social media in general, but now let's go a little bit further out and let's talk about Insta fitness. Is something that I think is coming up and is very trendy, as people are doing these crazy poses. They're doing, I don't know, Statue of Liberty kind of thing. I don't know, the weirdest things ever. You see them, you get caught down the wormhole. The next thing you know, you're like, oh, maybe this is what I should be doing. Do you think that the perfect workout or Instagram fitness is helping or hurting the industry, or possibly helping or hurting your clients?
All of the above. Honestly, the biggest thing when it comes to fitness is that the basics are the best, right? The basics are the basics for a reason, because they work. And one of the challenging things about people doing all those crazy exercises is that people think that's what they need to do to get results. Mm-hmm. And I find that, people will come into my workout and I'm for the first time, it's always fun doing a first workout with somebody. I'm okay, we're just going to do the basics, see where you're at. And most people can't do the basics because they are so focused on doing all of these, like stand on one leg and do a bicep curl and then press it over your head and do all that at the same time. And like, one, from a fitness standpoint, it's very inefficient. Like if your goal is weight loss and gaining strength, your balance is going to like take over and you're not going to be able to lift as much as you would be able to. So you don't get as good of results. But people on, Instagram fitness is all about getting attention. So when people post these crazy workouts, they're literally just doing it to get attention. I guarantee you that's not how they got those bodies doing all of those crazy workouts. They're just doing them for the clout, right? They're just doing it for the attention. And I do think it's great for getting people to be maybe inspired to go to the gym. But I honestly, it worries me every time I see somebody post this insane workout and they're like standing on a Bosu ball the whole time. Because all I can think about is how many people are going to get hurt doing that and then think that that's what they have to do to get results, think they're not good enough, and then just give up, right? So it can be motivating, but in my opinion, it does the opposite. And I just feel that it makes people feel like, oh, if I can't do this, then, I'm not going to be able to get results. So I do think it does do more harm than good. But it's just all about, getting fans and getting followers.
There was actually there's a trainer that I was followed on social media. I couldn't find his profile, but notoriously against burpees because he's just like, it's not natural. People are going to hurt themselves. He's like, let's not do burpees. Let's do push-up. Let's do like squats. Let's do everything a burpee will do separately to get better results rather than hurt yourself or in face plant.
Totally. Yeah. Burpees are very unnecessary.
I agree. I do not like burpees. But my little guy he was in kindergarten, he came home and he started doing burpees. Like they're teaching kids how to do burpees and he loves them. He thinks they're great. So some people love them. But...
Positive association. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm only going to speak for myself here, but much like you, I think I've kind of gone up and down in the weight loss train, with that being kind of my focus as a younger person. And I always thought, I can eat my way or I can exercise my way out of a bad diet. And I can't. And weight loss does happen in the kitchen. And I have lots of people that I've met over my years that say I exercise so that I can eat, so that I can have a beer, so I can have a cheesecake, so I can do this. What are your thoughts on people exercising to eat?
I think it's extremely toxic. So the main reason why I don't, and I used to think that way too. Like I would, if I was going out for the weekend, I would go do some extra cardio and burn enough calories to work it off. But what that does is it just continues the negative cycle of us having to work out to earn food. And what I've learned is that it's not about earning food or this or that, because if you think of the grand scheme of your life and how many meals you eat in a month, in a year, going out for, a piece of pizza every now and then, it's really not like, it's nothing, right? So, because when you are really looking at changing your life, getting fit and healthy and losing weight, nobody wants to lose weight or get fit in like a month and then go back to their normal life, right? You want to maintain those results. So the best way to be able to maintain those results is to focus on being 80% perfect with your nutrition rather than 100. Because you can be 80, even 70% perfect consistently, probably forever. But if you focus on, being 100% perfect or having to earn things, then that creates a negative association in our brain, right? So we associate going out for pizza or doing things that we probably like, and we create a negative association with it. And it just leads to this whole toxic thing, which isn't sustainable. So if your goals are long-term and okay, I'm not going to go out for pizza and ice cream every single night, I'm just going to do it once a week, then it's really not a big deal. And the more we can allow ourselves to enjoy our favorite foods while we see results, the more we want to keep doing it. Whereas if you have to work it off every time, then one, you learn to not really like the exercise because you don't feel good while you're doing it. And as you're eating that pizza, you feel guilty, right? So that's how I used to feel. And now it's just another meal, right? So what I try and focus on more is like, I still like, if I go out, so we actually went out for pizza on Sunday, and all I try and do before is add more veggies and like get all of my fruits and water in before we go out, rather than starving myself, so that I know I got all of my veggies and I got all my nutrients in, but by the time I got to the pizza, I just get to enjoy it. Because you really want to be able to enjoy food and, you know, your life while you reach your goals without having to associate that guilt with it. So kind of a long answer to your question, but no, I don't believe that you have to like earn food. And part of the impact I want to make is on, you know, taking all of that vocabulary out of people's mouth, because it's not extremely helpful for long-term results.
I really love that you said that, because I'm 51 and I've done Weight Watchers, I've done keto diets, I've done paleo diets, I've done whole life challenges, I've counted calories, and it's exhausting. And I have finally, my husband, he's an athlete, but he's injured. He gained 35 pounds over the pandemic because he's unable to run, and he decided to lose weight. And what his diet is, which I hate that word, he just eats 3 meals a day. He doesn't snack in between. So I'm like, I'm just going to eat 3 meals a day and not snack in between. It is the best way that I have found. It is the easiest way, because we had lasagna tonight, and I just ate lasagna, but that is my meal until tomorrow morning. So I just know, like, it is idiot proof. I just eat 3 times a day, and I don't even have to think about it. And my relationship with food, as you mentioned, is actually much better. I don't feel bad having a beer. As long as I have it with a meal, I'm okay with that. And I had, I don't know, we had a pie with our meat. As long as it was in our meal, we're good. So yeah, but it's taken me a very long time to come to that. So I appreciate you talking about that now, so that listeners can understand that it's exhausting to have a bad relationship with food. Exhausting.
That's the best word to describe it.
So when people do decide to, for whatever reason, change their diet, and when they decide to change what they eat, it impacts them differently, especially if they have some food sensitivities, of course. And a lot of the time in the media, we always hear about how changing our diet can be so beneficial. But how can a new diet make a negative impact on someone when they are doing it for weight loss specifically?
I love that question. The main problem with dieting specifically for weight loss is it tends to have an end date, right? So you're like, okay, I'm going to be really good for the next 3 months. I'm not going to have any alcohol. I'm not going to have any bread. I'm not going to have any of this. And you probably will lose weight, but you get to that goal and then it goes out the window, right? What happens when it goes out the window? Your body goes back to normal, which one, it's not really good for our bodies to like lose a lot of weight, gain a lot of weight, lose a lot of weight, gain a lot of weight. But mentally, that is exhausting as well, right? It hurts our feelings when we feel good about ourselves for a little bit and then we get back into our old cycle. And what I find dieting with an end date does is it just perpetrates this feeling of I'm a failure, right? Because you do it for a little bit and then you can't maintain your results, and it just leads to people feeling bad about themselves. So I don't believe in diets. I don't believe in dieting for weight loss, because I just find it's not sustainable. One thing that I always tell somebody, if, you know, every time a new diet comes up, somebody will be like, oh, my Aunt Susan is doing this. What do you think of this? And my first question is, can you sustain it for the rest of your life? Normally, right. No, right? So if the answer to that is no, then I tell them not even to try. Because if you can't keep doing it, then you can't maintain your results. And if you can't maintain your results, then what's the point of starting? So what I like to advise is to focus on making small changes, right? Just like Jackie was saying, when you focus on things that are easy, but are simple, and you can keep doing them forever, then one, it's better for your health. It's better for your mental health because you know you can feel successful doing it. And it's better for your results because you can actually maintain them that way.
I love that.
So talking about something that you say you can maintain for the rest of your life, if you're talking about your fitness journey and you're working with your clients, how do you keep a program fresh and fun and not stale, something that you can sustain for the rest of your life?
So again, same thing I was talking about earlier, keeping it simple, making small changes. And honestly, just, I find when clients get started, and every workout that I do is based on, you know, the same principles, the same basics, just modifying those. So either modifying the way that I do it, maybe doing a circuit as opposed to like one exercise at a time. But at the end of the day, like, you can't do crazy workouts and expect to maintain those results. So I find that in my experience anyways, the results are enough to keep you going. And when your program is like simple enough that you only have to work out 2 to 4 times a week and you can see results in your head, it's not daunting, right? It doesn't feel exhausting and it's easy to maintain. Plus, what I've noticed is people just start to crave that feeling. Like, I have clients who have been with me for years, even as I moved. Some of them followed me and like still train with me online. And, you know, it's not like every single day, each workout is totally brand new, but it's the feeling, right? It's the vibe. It's the strength and the empowerment and just that burst of energy that you get. And I find that just wanting that feeling, wanting those results is more than enough. And I mean, we do focus on getting stronger. So I do make things harder and being able to watch your progress. So this is why I prefer setting like strength goals as opposed to weight loss goals, because even if you do everything right, your weight loss will plateau every now and then. Like, weight loss is not linear. But if you focus on strength, right, set a goal to be able to do push-ups from the ground, or maybe you want to do a chin-up, or maybe you want to be able to squat with a certain weight. It's exciting to watch yourself get stronger. And I find that just our human need to be better and feel good is enough. And I find that, you know, part of it is just the human relation, right? Being able to have that connection with people. I actually just had a client tell me today that, like, if she knew, if it wasn't for me, she would, like, she knows what to do at this point, but she just wouldn't do it, right? So a lot of the times it's that accountability. But even like from my own standpoint of having exercised for 8 years, I've changed it up a lot. Like, I've competed, I've tried powerlifting style, and I've done lots of different things. So I think that helps me add different aspects to the training. But honestly, just changing up the style a little bit, keeping with the basics, but really just wanting the result and wanting that feeling is, from my experience, enough to keep people going. I find people get bored or they don't want to do it anymore when they feel like they have to do too much. So when people feel like they have to work out 5-6 days a week, that's when they get burnt out and that's when they want to stop. Like, I went through that a little while ago where I was like, you know, kind of bored and just wasn't feeling like that same motivation to wake up and exercise 5 days a week. So I changed my workouts. I work out like 3 or 4 days a week now. I walk, I hike, like, I do things like that. But I find making it less daunting and more manageable is a great way to keep it sustainable, because then, you know, if a holiday comes up where you aren't able to get all 7 of your workouts in that week, you don't feel bad about it. And when you take more rest days, your body craves it. So I find that usually works.
I think I can definitely speak on the results thing. Is Joe and I recently went on a hike that we did earlier in the year. And when we did it earlier in the year, we're just like, man, that was brutal. That thing kicked our butt. But then we did it not that long ago, and we're like, yeah, we totally did that, and we crushed it. and it felt fantastic. And then for me, that means way more than being like, oh yeah, there's like 2 inches off my waist or anything like that, right? The idea of knowing that I can do something and it's not as difficult makes me so much happier than a weight result or anything like that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We are very privileged to have some amazing people on our podcast. And there are things that some of our guests have said that really have resonated with me. And it gets repeated again and again. And you said it again. Tracy Stewart was on one of our guests, and she talked about finding joy. And it resonated with me. And I hear you kind of saying the same thing, that exercise or movement, is joyful. So going for a walk, like Dave hikes, I'm putting words in his mouth, and he can, confirm or refute, but he does it for the joy, not the calories burnt. And I love hearing you say that. Yeah, thank you. You are not in Ontario. We are in Ontario. You, in fact, are in BC. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I hope you're safe.
All good here, thankfully. Yes.
Okay, good. I have been, and sometimes the Johnny Cash theme song runs through my head. I've lived on the West Coast, I've lived on the East Coast, and now I'm in Ontario. And it was interesting. I have noticed difference in people's relationship with movement. And when I was in Calgary, we spent every waking moment we could out in the mountains, hiking, skiing, camping, whatever. For us, the city wasn't fun. It was just a straight line through Banff and into the mountains. When I moved to Nova Scotia, back to Nova Scotia, interesting, my husband was training for his first marathon, and I would do some running. And we would literally go by a small town community, and people would sit on their porches and make fun of us. And I'm not joking. They would make fun of us because it was like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just take a car and go where you want to go? It was funny how people's reaction. In Ontario, we actually surround ourselves with active people who are like us, but, and no offense to my Ontario friends out there, it's kind of a fad kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm doing the latest to keep up with whatever. Do you notice that because you've moved in different areas, do you feel that people from different regions embrace fitness differently? And why do you think that is?
So I 100% agree with you. And it's interesting, actually. So one thing that I loved when I moved out here was everybody wanted to be outside and doing stuff. And that is obviously something that I love, which I didn't get as much of in Ontario. And I did feel like a lot of like stuff we would do back home was more focused on, you're right, like fads, what was cool, things like that. But like out here, it's a lot of just being outside and spending all day outside because it's beautiful and we want to. And that part is really awesome because like I love being outside and nature and moving and spending time with friends. But what's interesting is I find it depends where you are. So there's in Kelowna, I find it's a lot more, I don't know how to say this properly, superficial, we'll say, where people are like, let's just say like Botox and things like that are very, very just everywhere. And I remember the first time I went out for dinner in Kelowna, I had been living in Vernon, which is just a little bit smaller. And like I went to this restaurant and I swear every girl looked the same. Like, you know, eyebrows done the same, the plump lips, bleach blonde hair, just like carbon copies of each other. And it was like, and I'm the type of person, I don't wear a lot of makeup. Like I don't really like do a lot of stuff. And I was like, what is like, I felt really weird. And then I went to the gym and that's how they look in the gym, perfectly like done up and all this stuff. And a lot of the like fitness influencer type of like girls walking around in the matching sets and the perfect makeup and things like that. So it's funny to me to see both sides of it, like literally so close. But I find that the way fitness culture has went, a lot of people are doing it because it's a fad, and they go to the gym and they have the perfect outfits and they want to do all the things. So I think you'll kind of find that anywhere. But I think it's just because it's what people are used to. Like here, I stand out because I don't look like everybody else, and I'm okay with that. But like people don't want to stand out, right? People want to fit in. They want to look like everybody else. And honestly, I just think that a lot of them just don't know any better, right? Like they think that's what's expected of them, so that's what they do. But that being said, a lot of my friends are into very active activities, and not, because it'll burn calories or will look cool while doing it, just because of the rush of it. So I think it comes down to kind of the person and where they were raised. And yeah, so it is very interesting to see, but a lot of it just comes down to, I find, expectations and the society that you live in.
How much do you feel your friends influence that? And I say that because my friends that we hang out with, it seems kind of weird. We do things. We just get together on Fridays when we were still biking. Every Friday we would bike. And now that we're coming up into winter, Thursdays we'll ski, Sundays we ski. That's our group of friends that we hang out with. And so how much do you think that influences people and their fitness, exercise, health habits?
I think that's huge. It's one thing I've noticed a lot more recently, actually. Growing up, I was more of a doormat type of person. I was very nice, let people walk all over me. I went with the flow. I didn't really disagree with people. And that definitely influenced the type of things I did. I mean, I still played sports. I still played hockey and things like that. But the more I got into like high school and hanging out with my friends, I still did all my commitments, but the less time I spent, active playing outside, and the more time I spent doing other things. And now, especially because when I moved across the country, nobody here knew me, right? So I just got to show up and be who I wanted to be. And one thing was that when I moved out here and I started, as a personal trainer and in fitness, that's kind of how people knew me. So I found that those were the types of people I attracted, because the friends that I would meet would be through the gym that I was working at, or through my boyfriend, who his friends were all very active people too. And I find that the more loudly you express who you are, the more those are the types of people you attract. So the people who I've met here are people who want to hike, they want to surf, they want to go and do all of these things. And I find now that I'm not afraid to be myself and talk about what I want. I am able to do those things with others, and I find that I'm able to influence other people. So I do have people who will tell me they do more things when I'm around, right? They want to do more things because they know I don't like to sit still, right? I don't want to just sit and talk. I'd rather go for a walk and talk or something. So I think it depends on your power to influence and how much you are influenced. So it's different person to person, but the people you surround yourself with, that becomes your life, right? So it's the people, whether it's your friends or your family or whoever, have a huge influence on you. I'm a really big fan of, paying attention to how the people around you influence you, and only surrounding yourself with people who, make you feel good and who live the kind of life you want to live.
Thank you.
I need more hiking friends.
I'll hike with you.
All right, let's go.
So Roni, we talked about fads, but when it comes, we talked about fads for the types of fitness, but when it comes to the when to start a new journey, I know that there's peaks throughout the year too, right? And the holidays are coming up, and I know the new year is huge for a lot of people to start thinking about their fitness. But what do you think is the right time to start a new fitness journey?
Well, what they say, there's no better time than the present. But honestly, I find that the people who wake up one day and they're like, I've had enough and I want to make a change, and they do, are the ones who are the most successful. People who, they wait for Monday, they wait for a new month, they wait for a new year. Those are the types of people who get sucked into the fads, and they do it for a couple weeks, maybe even a whole month, and then they fall off because they're not really committed. But like, honestly, the day that you decide you want your life to be different is the best time to start, because one, you're inspired, right? And when you're inspired and you want to do something, taking action is really easy, as opposed to when you don't want to. So the more you can inspire yourself, and like, one thing is when you make it simple, right? When you make it really simple, it's easy to start. Everybody thinks starting has to be this big thing. I remember when I worked in a gym, you'd get all the new members, they'd come in January and they're like, okay, I want to start working out 5 days a week. I'm going to change my whole diet. I'm going to quit smoking and quit drinking and do all this. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're not going to be okay if you do that. Like, that is not going to go over well. So the biggest thing is just start small, right? And as soon as you decide you're ready, and this could be as simple as starting drinking, a glass of water before and after every meal, right? Building on those small habits. But yeah, as corny as it is, the best time to start is now, right? And the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time is now, because the sooner you get started, the sooner you see results. And the sooner you see results, the better you feel, the more likely you are to keep going. Whereas the more we think about how hard it is to start something, right? The more you build it up in your mind and you think of how big and scary it's going to be, the harder it seems, when really you just use your mind against you, right? Instead of just getting started, you made it bigger. So the less you can think about it and the more action you can take, the better and the easier it is to get started.
So now I have a loaded question for you. What is the right weight for someone?
Great question. So there is no right weight. And the main reason I say this is because I reached what I thought was my right weight, right? I reached what I thought was my goal weight, because that's what society said, right? Oh, women should be X amount of pounds. And I didn't look healthy. I wasn't happy. I wasn't confident. And I find that the best weight is the weight that you feel you're healthiest, you're happiest, you're most confident, but that you're still able to enjoy your life, right? So I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel confident in my body. Could I be leaner? Could I lose a few pounds? Yeah, sure. Like, we all could. But for me, spontaneous, like pizza or ice cream dates, are way more important than those last 2 to 5 pounds. So I don't believe in setting goal weights, just because, everything I've talked about today, I just find that's not a really good indicator of where you're at, how you feel. And when you're forever trying to reach a goal weight, what I find is you'll get to that goal weight, and then because you're so focused on it, you'll realize that you still have those old habits of criticizing yourself and picking yourself apart. So at that goal weight, you're still criticizing yourself, and you'll be like, okay, well, maybe I just need to lose another 5 pounds, right? So once you lose the weight, it'll never be enough if that's your only focus. So honestly, the right weight for anybody is the weight that they feel their best in, right? You can enjoy life, you're healthy and you're happy, but that allows for that 20% of spontaneous nights out and imperfection.
So you talk about self-love and caring about yourself first. One of my favorite shows is Schitt's Creek. There's an episode, Cold Opening, where Dan Levy looks at himself in the mirror and he kind of like, okay. And then like starts the day, and then it goes into this whole birthday cake, or not a anniversary cake thing. And just that little thing of him going, okay. I've actually started to do that. And it's the funny, because it's so corny, because then I laugh at myself, and then I laugh at myself for laughing at myself for being corny. It just turns into this weird thing, but it totally works. So I'm like, yeah, you got this. Where is a good place to start for someone on that journey? Like, what is a great way for someone to look at themselves differently in a more positive light before they start, rebuilding themselves?
So one thing that I will get people to do in the beginning is to put a little sticky note on their bathroom mirror, and every time they look in the mirror, think of 3 things they love about themselves. So now this can be like something you're proud of. This can be something you accomplished. This can be something physical, right? Oh, I love my smile. I love my eyes. I love this about me. I love that I haven't given up on myself. And what happens is, one, you feel good, right? At first it feels awkward and you don't really believe it and you're just doing it because I told you to. But the more you do it, the more you start to believe it and the better you start to feel. And once you actually start to believe it, you change the way you think about yourself, right? Once you change the way you think about yourself, you change the way you act. And what you're doing at the same time is you're retraining your brain. So many of us are trained to look in the mirror and find our flaws, right? Pick yourself apart. So instead of doing that, you're replacing it with finding something you love about yourself. Because it's really hard to criticize yourself when you're looking for things you love, right? You can't do two things at once. As much as you might want to try, your brain cannot have two thoughts at the same time. So you're learning to replace that habit. And it's something that, like I said, it's really awkward for people at first, but it's so powerful. And I've done this with a lot of my clients and just with friends and with people. And one, it's so funny because people will lose weight just from doing that. Because when you love yourself, you want to take care of yourself, right? When you don't love yourself, why would you want to take care of yourself, right? That's when the self-sabotage comes in. That's when you beat yourself up. That's when all those negative habits come in. But the more you love yourself, the more you want to do things that make you feel good. And honestly, it's the most simple thing that anybody can do. But it's one of the most transformative, simple habits that I've come up with yet.
I can't wait to see how many people start name 3 things you love about yourself. Going to be on your mirror for the next couple months. That's great.
I would love to see that. That would make me so happy.
All right. So everyone who's listening, 3 things about yourself. Tag Roni in your post when you put on social media. Let's see what we can get going here.
Please do.
All right. Well, honestly, I seriously, I want to thank you because you being a guest here has brought a new view when it comes to fitness, definitely food, and loving yourself. So that's kind of everything that we fall into. But before we close off, we always like to give our guests an opportunity to shamelessly self-promote themselves. Where can people find you? What are you up to? Do whatever you need to do to promote yourself. And is there something you want to leave people with before we sign off?
Okay, so of course I'm on social media. You guys already said it, but I'm on Instagram, Roni_Travis. I'm on Facebook, and I have a private Facebook group where I do tons of free trainings, tips, inspiration, and it's just a little bit more intimate because it's private, right? Nope, not everybody can see it. And the group is called Strength, Confidence, and Lasting Success for Everyday Superwomen. So you can search it or find my handle on Instagram, and you can go to the link in my bio. And I just have tons of free trainings from, everything we talked about today, but just how to do it, right? So how to ditch dieting and see results and all of those amazing things. And it's just a fun place to be and a little bit of a positive place to be in the craziness of the world right now. But yeah, pretty much find me on social media, and that's, you'll just see everything that I have to offer there. One thing that I would like to leave with people, I would just like everybody listening to know that they're capable of so much more than they think they are. And that small steps might seem like nothing, but if you took one small step every single day, you wouldn't even recognize yourself by the end of the year. And that's basically the best piece of advice I could ever give. And 2 pieces, just kidding. Learn to hype yourself up, right? So many people are their own worst enemy, right? They sit there and they talk themselves down, they talk themselves out of things, which is why so many people don't achieve what they want to do. And if you would just talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, right? How you would talk to your mom, how you would talk to somebody that you love, and just believe in yourself a little bit more every single day, your life would literally change. So that's all I got.
Everybody needs a good hype song. Find a solid anthem, hype yourself up. You got it.
100%.
Yeah. If I could be as excited as DJ Khaled is every time he drops a new song, I mean, come on.
Right?
Yeah. So I think we're all going to agree that this is a great opportunity to learn from you, to learn with you. So thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you guys so much for having
Thank
me.
you so much.
Thank you for
Blast.
watching and listening to this week's episode of the Food and Fitness Podcast. Join us next week when the hosts of the Food and Fitness Podcast sit down to reflect in our Team Huddle episode.